In today's video, we're going to talk about why I use the iPad mini to read my comics and manga. Welcome back to the channel. On this channel, we talk all things video games, comics, and manga. So if you like any of those kind of topics, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, and also consider liking this video at some point in the video if you're finding value in the things that I'm talking about. So the big topic and the reason why we're here today is to go over why I use the iPad mini to read comics and manga. So I am a big physical collector of a lot of different things. Just to give you a little background, I mean, you can look around me in the room and you can see that I like being surrounded by the things that I enjoy. And particularly when it comes to comics and manga, I have a large physical collection of single issue comics, a lot of collected editions, trade paperbacks, omnibus, hardcovers, all that kind of stuff with comics. Nothing huge or impressive or anything like that, but I like having the physical books and being able to physically turn the pages, smell the book, all that kind of stuff. So I just love physical media. But what I really enjoy about the iPad mini and being able to read any of these things digitally is that I can just pick up my iPad mini and have access to all of the comics and manga that I want to read at any given time. You know, perfect example, I'm out on lunch at work and I could take my book with me, you know, this big Venom omnibus, for example, and take this whole big bad boy with me. And I have done that on occasion, but I much prefer taking my iPad mini with me because I can read that whole thing all in this one little device. Plus, once I'm actually done reading it, I can just skip to another book, or I can skip to a different medium altogether. I mean, if I'm reading anything Marvel related, I can jump over to DC at a moment's notice, or I can pick up the Shonen Jump app and jump into whatever chapter that I want to read. Perfect example is yesterday. I was reading Venom and I finished up the series. I was on my lunch break and I wanted to read something else, and I forgot that Jujutsu Kaisen started back up again after chapter 262, 263 when there was a break, and I just read all the last 5-6 chapters that I was behind on, and I finished it all on the same lunch break. Whereas if I had the physical book with me, maybe I was finishing reading Venom and I just finished reading it and I didn't have another book with me, I didn't have my iPad with me, I just wouldn't have been able to read anything. And so having access to the digital formats of all these things is great. Now, I will say that I don't typically, double up on my purchases on things. I don't buy a physical copy and a digital copy. I just think that's kind of a waste of money. I'm either going to go one way or another, but I do use the Marvel Unlimited service and the DC Universe Infinite, I think it is. It's gone through different naming changes, and Shonen Jump. I mean, Shonen Jump is probably my favorite reading app so far because it's $2.99 and I have access to a whole gigantic world of manga, and it's crazy. All of the stuff that you get for $3 a month, I mean, that's less than going to McDonald's one time, the entire month. So it's crazy, and I get access to a bunch of stuff. But again, Marvel Unlimited is great as well. I have access to anything, almost anything modern. I have access to a bunch of classics. I have access to multitude of different things, and same with DC Universe Infinite. Now, what I'm not particularly keen about with Marvel and DC is that you don't have access to the newest stuff that just came out. I think with Marvel, you have to wait 3 months, I want to say, and then DC, you have to wait 6 months, and it might be vice versa. I'm not sure, but you have to wait, basically. So you're not able to read the newest stuff, and if you want to read the newest stuff digitally, then you do have to either go into the comic book store and buy the physical, Marvel single issue, for example, and you can have the physical copy and it comes with a free digital code, or with DC, you can, just buy the digital issue as well, but then you're still paying $3.99, $4.99 an issue. That gets pretty expensive pretty fast. But being able to read digitally has just been a massive game changer for me. So again, I like to, read digital as much as I can, but with Marvel, for example, I love that I can get the digital code to whatever single issue, new issue that I'm buying. And that code is still good for a year, roughly, for most cases. It's different with different issues, but I can buy something from 2-3 months ago and, download the code as well, and I don't even have to read the physical issue, but I can have that physical part of my collection if I want it, or if I just want to go all digital, I don't have to go to the comic book store at all. I could just buy it straight from the app. It's great. Now, particularly why I like reading on the iPad in particular, because there's different things out there like the Kindle or the Kobo Libra or the boox Palma, is I can read things from different apps and I'm not locked into one particular ecosystem. So, like with the Kindle, for example, you're locked into the Kindle ecosystem. You do have things, related to it like Prime Reading, Kindle Unlimited, Comixology, but it's limited. I mean, you're not going to find the same dense amount of material that you would with like the Marvel Unlimited app or the DC Universe Infinite app. So with the Kindle, it's pretty limited. I do like the size and the form factor of the Kindle, and I do like the e-ink display. It's very nice, but ultimately it's very limited, and it just wouldn't serve the purpose of what I would like out of a digital e-reader. Plus, with a lot of the Kindles, they are on the smaller side, so it's great for manga, but what I found with comics in particular is I need a bit of a bigger screen to be able to actually appreciate the art and for the text to not be super small and tiny. I tried out a Kindle and I tried reading some digital comics that were available on Prime Reading, but it just was super small and I had to zoom in a lot of times to read particular text or to see a particular detail. So it just kind of got a little bit annoying. I like to, when I turn a page, I like to be able to see everything on the page. And there's different things like the Kobo Libra. The best alternative to an iPad would be the boox Palma. The boox Palma is an Android-based device. It's like the size of a phone. Literally, it's smaller than an iPad mini, but it is, running Android. So you have the Play Store. You can literally use it like a phone. You just can't make phone calls. It has a camera on it and everything like that. So you can literally use it for the same things that we're using the iPad mini for. And it has an e-ink display. That's probably the biggest factor that I forgot to mention, is that it has an e-ink display while being, a fully fledged Android device, being able to download all these different apps. But what I don't like is the ultimate processing speed of it. If I wanted to jump into YouTube or if I wanted to jump into, whatever, I can on the books, but it's not going to be as good of an experience as I would with something that's more multitask oriented like the iPad mini, in the sense that the iPad mini can do all of those things and do it, far quicker. So the iPad mini doesn't have the e-ink display, which is the downside to it, but there's things that you can do to make the display a lot more user friendly and a lot easier on your eyes. So like in my case, I have a yellow screen filter, or like a yellow effect where it basically dims the screen a yellow tint color. And I also have a paper-like screen protector, which makes a massive difference. It cuts down the glare from light, shining directly on the screen. It makes it feel like you're reading something that's actually on paper, and the feel of it when I'm swiping to different pages is like I'm swiping on a Kindle or like I'm swiping on a boox Palma. I mean, it has like a nice tactile feel to it, which just makes a really big difference. Plus, not to mention, it's a color display. So it's great for manga because there is no color. And so in that, I'm able to read manga just the same level of quality that I would with a Kindle or a boox or a Kobo Libra. But I am also able to jump into comics and read comics in all of their color glory and with great color accuracy on the iPad mini. Now, particularly, I like the iPad mini because of the size and form factor. So if I have a big jacket, I can easily slip it into my pocket, into a big oversized pocket, or I can slip it into my lunch bag when I'm taking my lunch to work. It's no extra feet to have to take my iPad with me. The regular standard size iPad, which I had before I got this iPad mini, was great. It was fantastic for reading comics. I mean, everything was bigger. The color accuracy was great. It just felt really nice, being able to read on a nice large screen. But then I would get to some things in like manga, for example, and manga is typically on a smaller form factor. And so then it would just kind of make manga, the art, much bigger than what it was originally intended to be. It looked pixelated in some cases, and it just wasn't that comfortable to hold in hand, to travel, and just take with me to work, for example. It wouldn't fit in my lunch bag, and I would have to carry that separately. And it's not like it's a big separate device. I mean, it's not like a, Venom omnibus, trying to take this big bad boy with me. But in the other hand, it's far easier to use the iPad mini, and I just like the size and form factor of it. I can easily hold it in one hand. I also have a little pop socket on the back, so I'm able to just comfortably hold it and read. It's nice. I mean, the iPad mini just really elevates the digital landscape when you're wanting to read things. And so if you're considering getting an iPad mini or considering getting into just digital reading, I highly recommend it. So I'll have a link down below to the iPad mini that I'm using. You don't have to get an iPad mini. I'm not trying to sell you one. But if you want to check that out along with the screen protector that I'm using and the case and this pop socket and all that kind of stuff, I'll have that link down below if you want to check it out. Definitely explore other options. There's lots of really good stuff out there. But yeah, let me know down below what you think about digital reading versus physical reading, because I'd be curious to hear which you're a bigger fan of and what you think is ultimately the better medium. And if you liked this video, I really think you're going to like this one or this one. I'll catch you at either one of those videos. Peace.